City Council. It's Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. We're in a regular business session tonight, so we'll be having some reports and communications, some ordinances that we'll be reading. And then at the end of the meeting, we will be going into executive session, which I'll explain a little bit more about later. Our first item of business is to establish a quorum. We have all but Councilmember Fall, who is not able to be with us tonight. Everyone else is present. For communications, we've had several items that I would like to mention. The first of which is that several of the city council members will be taking a tour of the city with some of the city administration and also the Ohio University Board of Trustees on Thursday at 8 a.m. in the morning for approximately an hour to an hour and a half to be able to share with the Board of Trustees a little bit about our city and its history. And so our city planner and our director of public works and our service safety director will also be attending too. So we think that'll be an interesting event. We have several pieces of information from department directors within the city, one of them being Rick Sorois, our code director, who reported on numbers in 2017 just to keep us up to date. But it's quite an impressive list, and I thought I would just summarize a few of the things that our code office has done, including 7,849 rental inspections and re-inspections. From our solid waste control officers, we've had 3,791 trash warnings or citations issued, and then trash warnings issued by the code office, close to another 100 of those. The code office also helps us during the summer months when if grass grows and property owners do not respond to that or they're not present and that needs to be done, and they take care of that. They've also helping us take care of signage, warnings, handbills, removal of those kind of things, as well as doing their ongoing work with issuing zoning permits and rental permits. They responded to 674 complaints, investigations, and public requests. So it's a busy and dedicated team, and also over 900 visitors logged into their office. So we'd like to thank them for all of the work that happens there. They are also the department that takes care of warnings that are issued when there might be snow on the sidewalks. And just a gentle reminder to folks that this is people's safety as they walk on the sidewalks, that once the snow has stopped, it's the property owner's responsibility to clear the sidewalk of their snow within 4 hours of the snow stopping. So I think we had snow till maybe about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So if at all possible, I know it's very cold out now, but this helps people get around and not slipping. We're also in receipt of a report on another topic from our police department. And this is an annual reporting that they are required to make with the use of the funds from mandatory drug fines and proceeds from forfeited property. And so the police chief has submitted that there were some pieces of equipment for the police department, as well as a laptop for the police department to work with. And lastly, council members are in receipt of notification about construction of an on-site waste disposal facility at the U.S. Department of Energy's Portsmouth Gaseous Diffusion Plant in Piketon, Ohio. And there has been a request to see if city council members, this was sent to us by a council member in Piketon, who said that this is affecting local governments and has asked council members if they would be interested in passing such a resolution opposing this. With her information, she submitted that the village of Piketon, Waverly, Seal Township, Scioto Township, the Scioto Valley Local School District, Pike County General Health Department, the treasurer, other people in Pike County, the Portsmouth EMS, Jackson City Schools, the city of Chillicothe, and the village of Pikeston, and have all submitted resolutions opposing this. So I did want to make council members aware of that, and if they are interested in proceeding with a resolution. And those are all the communications that I have tonight. Are there communications from other council members? move on to communications and reports from other elected officials. Law Director Eliason. Okay. Mayor Patterson.
I have just a couple. I would like to kind of follow up President Nisley on what you were talking about with the snow removal of ice and snow, which is City Ordinance 9.12.19. And I'd like to take a moment and read that particular ordinance, because I think this is important that people understand how this ordinance does read, how the city law is. A, the occupant or person having the care of that building or lot of land bordering on any street with a graded or paved sidewalk within the first 4 hours of daylight following or during snowfall shall cause the snow to be removed from the sidewalk. And this provision should include snow or ice falling from any building. So it's not just the sidewalks, it's also icicles that could be hanging from your building that need to, or overhanging a sidewalk to also have cause for removal. B, whenever the sidewalk or any part thereof shall become encumbered with ice, the owner, occupant, or person in control within the first 4 hours of daylight following or during its formation shall cause the sidewalk to be made safe by removing such ice or sprinkling the same with sand or some other suitable substance. And then finally, the penalty: any person in violation of this section shall be deemed guilty of a minor misdemeanor and fined not more than $100. Each day the person continues to violate this section shall constitute a separate and complete offense, yada, yada, yada. So it's good to get that out there so people understand. I also want to mention one more thing about this is you know, it can be an ADA violation to not have a passable sidewalk for those being able to use those sidewalks. So please, anyone who's viewing tonight, be cognizant of making sure that your sidewalks are free of snow and ice. The other thing I want to mention, I did send an email out earlier today to all of council. I sent it to over to the law director's office as well as the city auditor's office, and it's been sent out to all the city employees, and that is that I have selected a new service safety director once Paula Horan-Mosley retires, which will be in May of this year. That the new service safety director, Andy Stone, will be taking, so there will be transition taking place, and hopefully I'll have the support of all of council as well as all the other electeds to help with the transition as we transition through. And I think it's going to be smooth as we do transition, but I do want council to be aware, and then anyone who's watching today, that is the direction the city's taking. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think I'm speaking out of line when I'd say you have the full support of council members who very much respect Mr. Stone's work as Director of Public Works, and looking forward to working with him. We'll now read through the ordinances for first reading. Ordinance 0118 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application and execute an agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for a Clean Ohio Trails Fund grant for the Columbus Road Bike Path Spur Trailhead and declaring an emergency. This is introduced by Councilmember Katsas.
President Nisley, I move to suspend the rules.
Second. Okay. And the reason?
The reason for suspension is the grant application is due on February 1st, and so time is of the essence.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and second for suspending the rules for 0118. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The rules have been suspended. Councilmember Katsas.
Thank you. I move to approve ordinance 0-01-18.
Second.
And this is an application for a Clean Ohio Trails Fund grant, which would total $250,000, and I believe the matching is 25%. But some of that matching can come from in-kind or sweat equity.
We have a motion and second to adopt ordinance 0118. Any other comments or questions from council members or administration? Councilmember McGee.
Just a question for the public. The Trailheads grant, that's for bicycles, is it not?
It is the, so it is an actual, it would be kind of actually a transition station, so it would be parking. There would also be a bus stop incorporated, is my understanding with some of the conversations that I've had. And this is 93 Columbus Road, which is the old Standard Oil gas station, which the city's owned for quite some time and has already been mitigated from its tanks. So the EPA cleanup has already happened there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any other comments or questions? We'll proceed then with voting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, and the ordinance is approved. Ordinance 218 is an ordinance closing President Street and portions of Court and Union Streets on Saturday, April 7th, 2018, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the International Street Fair. And this is introduced by Councilmember Kotsis.
Thank you, President Nisley. I move to table ordinance 0-02-18.
Second.
And the reason is twofold. One is received some communications that this date may not be the best date in the spring. And then the second is that administration, if I can speak for you, or would you like to speak for yourself?
So we do have a motion and a second at this point, so we could open it up for discussion.
So my conversations with administration is they would be willing to work with the university and see if there are any solutions that can come from this.
Okay. And do we have any comments from the mayor at this point?
Well said.
Well said. Okay.
Okay.
Great. And do we have any other comments from council members? Yes, Councilmember Crowell.
I would just say that I spoke with a number of business owners who opposed the date.
Okay.
Problematic for their business operation.
Okay. All right. And any other council members? And if not, do we have any business owners who would like to speak, or interested citizens and or business owners? Sure. And if you could just announce your name so we have it on record for us, and if you represent a group or an organization or a business.
Jessica Thomas. Actually, I just want to, since it's been tabled, just thank everyone for the communication. I think between my husband and I, we spoke with or emailed pretty much everyone. So I appreciate the tabling it for a little more discussion and for maybe trying to iron out a better date or a better way to do it. And just in watching, I watched last Monday's meeting and the communication, I think it just opens the door for the opportunity to have a new way or a better way to communicate street closures in assessing how they damage or hurt, businesses that are affected, talking with them first before going through with any approvals, just finding some better ways to talk about it because they make a big, big difference. I've spoken with, a few business owners that obviously I think with the weather are not really want to go out in the cold tonight. But it would be helpful to have more discussion about it and more talking about it. There's established dates that we all know, street fair being one of them. We typically know it's going to be closed, and Halloween and the summer ones. So when something moves or on a big weekend, it makes a really big difference for a lot of us. So I just appreciate the communication and the willingness to work together. Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight. Mayor Patterson.
Thank you. Again, in conversations with some of our business owners, and just recently, I think the way I would like to see the administration moving forward is that, either right after OU's graduation in the spring, or maybe even a little bit before, we start looking and projecting the calendar for the next academic year and looking at all of, the various Ohio University functions, i.e., Parents' Weekend, Mom's Weekend, Dad's Weekend, things of that nature, but looking to see what that calendar looks like and making sure that we don't start stepping on toes when we have street closings. I'm very sympathetic to the impact that some of our businesses do see in the uptown area. I think that it would be great to have a Yuba the Uptown Business Association in those conversations too, to where we have city administration, AYUBA, the business, Uptown Business Association, as well as Ohio University, to where we look at the calendar and start projecting ahead and being more smart about how we plan our calendar when it comes to big events that either have street closings or, again, are notable weekends throughout the city or in the Uptown area.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone, for the comments and the discussion. So we now need to vote on tabling the ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. The ordinance has been tabled with the understanding, usually in our rules, it states that it's anticipated that it would return to council within several weeks. So we'd be trying to work this out within the next few weeks. We won't be having a council meeting on the 5th Monday, but then we would then a regular business meeting on the 5th of February. Okay, we'll move on to Ordinance 318, an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an LPA state project agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for bridge painting on US 50 and declaring an emergency. Introduced by Councilmember Katsas.
Thank you. This ordinance, 0-03-18, we spoke about this at committee. This is a bridge painting done by ODOT, 100% cost by ODOT. It just happens to be within our city boundaries.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 418 is an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an LPA state agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for landslide repair on US 50 and declaring an emergency. Introduced by Councilmember Katsas.
And this is exactly the same as what was on the last one, except for this one is a slip repair that will happen in this calendar year. Out in the Harmony Road, South Canaan area, kind of on the far east side of town, on US 50.
Okay. Thank you. Ordinance 518 is an ordinance to ensure local match funds for the Mobility Manager Grant, introduced by Councilmember Katsas.
Thank you. And 0-05-18, this is something that we do every year, and this is to help pay for our mobility manager, who is Jesse Schmitzer. And the only thing that's different this year is the price actually still stays the same of $7,500 that we contribute to this, but it's happening a lot earlier because ODOT bumped up the requirement to March 1st that this has to be secured by.
Thank you. Ordinance 618 is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 3 buses and a truck for the Athens transit system and declaring an emergency. Introduced by Councilmember Katsas.
Great, thank you. And this ordinance is for HAPCAP as they continue to switch away from their contracts with McDonald Transit. Did I get that correct? I believe, yes. Thank you. And these 3 buses are the Summit buses that provide that transportation route. What I wanted to mention is I had an additional conversation with Jessica Stroh, and the money to purchase these buses, which is a little bit over $30,000, is actually coming from a capital replacement fund that was put in place when they ran a contract with McDonald Transportation to run this system. So it's not like they're searching for additional funding for this. They have the funds. We're merely allocating it. The only thing that will happen in the future is that we will have to license them, which adds a cost, a yearly cost that we'll have to revisit at some other point.
Okay, thank you. And Ordinance 718 is an ordinance affirming the plan of operation and governance for the SOPEC Electricity Aggregation Program and declaring an emergency. And this is introduced by all members of council. And this is the adopting the plan of operation that was part of the electric aggregation program that the city adopted several years ago. And so this is acknowledging the details of the written plan of operation for that program that we're now adding in. Any other comments or descriptions on that? Okay, thank you. We did discuss this last week as well. And council members do have a complete copy of that plan. Ordinance 818 is our next one, and this is an ordinance amending the Athens City Code to establish Title 49 initiative petitions, introduced by all members of council. And I believe that Councilmember Reisner will speak to this.
Thank you, Madam President. The ordinance titled Ordinance Amending the Athens City Code to establish Title 49 initiative petitions and to include chapters 49.01, the Athens Community Bill of Rights and Water Supply Protection Ordinance, and 49.02, the Athens Cannabis Ordinance. I'd right now like to make a motion to table this ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And if you would like to describe your reasons for tabling right now.
The reasons is that there's been some last-minute confusion as to exactly what form the sections 49.02 in particular, in what form that will be put into our new section. There seems to be different copies of what this is proposed to be the actual initiative. It's felt that what should be introduced into the section, since it's to be codified, would be that copy that was presented to the auditor, who then, I believe you call it certified, and then presented to the Board of Elections. That copy should be the one that we place into this new section. As far as I know, I haven't seen a copy of that yet. And I think it's just prudent for us to actually place within that section of law that which the voters voted upon and no other.
Okay. Thank you for the description. And it does seem prudent, and we can verify that then with the auditor. So thank you for being here tonight. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I actually have a
Councilmember
question
Crowell.
about procedure. Sorry for being the new person on the council. There are members in the audience who are here to speak on one of the ordinances. Do we do that as we go through the ordinances, or does that happen later?
They could do that as we read the ordinance, so that if there is some information on this ordinance 818 to which...
It's actually the previous ordinance. I believe we got a request from Mr. Roberts in the audience to speak on that.
I'm sorry. We did. And I apologize. Now wait a minute. This is, you're talking, I believe we're okay yet, because we're coming to ordinance 1418, and is this the opt-out solar?
Yes.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. But I am going to write your name down so I don't forget, because I remember, earlier. Thank you for the reminder. I would rather have it happen now ahead of time. Yes, and Auditor Hecht.
I just thought I'd explain a little bit about the process for initiative petitions. When a committee is formed, they have to have at least 3 members, and they certify their wording for what they want, and it's supposed to be approved by an attorney. And then it comes to my office really just for public viewing for 10 days. Then I certify it over to the Board of Elections. And, then I certify it, and then they get their petitions from the Board of Elections. However, the ballot language, so the petitions should have the full wording, but the ballot language does not. It is shortened for obvious reasons, room on the ballot, and the expense that they go through. That's done at the state level by the Secretary of State's office. So our Board of Elections will summarize the wording, and then it gets approved and changed. Law Director Elias and I have changed wording and asked for different wording on other petitions, and we go back and forth, and that's what's on the ballot, but that is not the full language of the certified wording, which I do have in my office, and I'm happy to send that to anybody that wants to see that.
Great. All right,
Thank you.
thank you for clarifying where we can find it. All right, so we have the motion and second for tabling 818. Any other questions or comments or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion has been, or the ordinance has been tabled. Ordinance 918 is an ordinance amending Athens City Code Title 9, General Regulations, Chapter 9.06, Intoxicating Liquors, Narcotics, to add Section 9.06.20, Cannabis Laws and Penalties. And this is introduced by all members of council. And Councilmember Reisner,
Thank you,
are you
Madam
willing to
President.
speak to this?
We discussed this in committee, and it's been, I think, pretty well discussed. What we're doing is, since the Citizens Initiative was passed, we are just simply revising our sections in code to strike out certain language and insert other. It's all on our drive. There's a lot here. I hate to read it all, especially with
Right.
a sore throat.
But it's been highlighted.
It's been
for our
highlighted and
text.
struck, and
getting rid.
it's there. And this brings our city code in line with what was approved by the citizens.
Okay, thank you. All right. Ordinance 1018 is an ordinance amending the 2018 appropriation ordinance, and this is introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. Allow me to read the ordinance. Section 1, the 2018 Appropriation Ordinance 15017 is hereby amended by appropriating from the appropriated balance the following sums: $70,000 to Tourism Fund 212 TC 300 for payment to ACCBB, $150,000 to Community Center Fund Phase 2 272 TC 500, $400,000 to State Issue 2 Fund 590 TC 500, $7,000 to Garbage Fund 760 TC 100 for medical fund transfers and increasing the total appropriations by said amounts. Section 2, the 2018 Appropriate Ordinance 15017 is further amended by decreasing the following: Community Center Fund 271 TC 400 by $35,540 and ARP Income Tax Fund 273 TC 500 by $150,000 and decreasing the appropriations by said amount.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 1118 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an economic development revolving loan fund administration agreement with the Ohio Development Services Agency and declaring an emergency. And Councilmember Reisner.
I really have nothing more to add to it. The ordinance, well, the title pretty much speaks for itself, unless the mayor has anything to add to this that we don't already know.
No.
So this is the administrative management of
Exactly.
our revolving loan fund. Mm-hmm. Okay. Ordinance 1218 is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of softening salt for the water treatment plant, introduced by Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, President Nisley. I believe this was discussed last week in my absence, but quite simply, it's authorizing our City Service Safety Director to expend up to $200,000 from the water fund for the purchase of the softening salt. Thank you.
Okay. And I do believe we have some additional information that the mayor provided that's on our Google Drive. Was this with the Cargill, the agreement with Cargill, and approximately how much it's purchasing? And
Correct.
How many
And that
tons?
came from the plant manager, Sean Beasley.
okay. And its certification. Okay, thank you very much for providing that. Ordinance 1318 is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a new backhoe for the Department of Engineering and Public Works and disposal of the current backhoe as a trade-in. And this is introduced by Councilmember Butler.
Thank you again, President Nisley. Again, I believe that this was discussed last week, and this, as stated, authorizes the purchase, City Service Safety Director, to authorize the purchase for new backhoe for the Department of Engineering and Public Works to expend up to $123,000 coming from 3 different sources: the water fund, the sewer fund, and the storm water fund. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Ordinance 1418 is an ordinance authorizing all actions necessary to effect an opt-out retail solar community program in the city of Athens through the Southeast Ohio Public Energy Council, known as SOPEC. Charge SOPEC retail electric customers in the city an electric carbon fee, directing the Board of Elections of Athens County to conduct the election and declaring an emergency. And I will offer some very brief explanation, but I think we have some other members here who are going to be able to add some additional information for us. As explained in the title, this is a retail program, and so this is for our residential customers, where there would be this particular ordinance authorizes us to put this on the May ballot for the citizens to approve whether they would want this program. And as described, as I understand, it would have 3 components: a carbon tax, solar development fund, and then renewable energy certificates. And do we have any other comments from council members before we turn it over to the audience for some comments? If you'd like to come, Mr. Roberts, and yes. And if you just provide your name for the audience and tell us.
Yeah, my name is Matthew Roberts. I'm coming today as a representative of Upgrade, Ohio. I'm not a citizen of Athens, actually, but I do want to show my support for this ordinance. And I did invite a few other folks to talk about it as well, so offer some time to them. So I wrote down a few public benefits that this project can really provide to the city. The first is that the ballot serves to educate the community about community solar programs in general. So there's a lot of different flavors of community solar. There's utility programs, there's municipal programs, cooperative programs where these solar are kind of built into the cost of a utility bill. And this one is with a community choice aggregation, so it's a lot more community focused, and with SOPEC's case, it's a lot more focused on the Southeast Ohio region. So there's an opportunity there to educate citizens about what community solar means. The next piece is that this is a very low cost. As Eddie Smith was stating last time he introduced this ordinance, it would cost the average Athens electric customer that's in the aggregation pool an additional $1.60 to $1.80 per month, or roughly $20 a year. And it would be my job and my role with Upgrade Ohio to communicate with Athens residents about the value of contributing to an effort like this and what it kind of brings back to the community. And a lot of people have been concerned about the issue of adding too much to folks with lower income. And in reality, there's, many folks might already be on some sort of assistance program, whether it be a percentage of income payment plan or some heating assistance program through the utility. And those folks are actually on their own aggregation pool, so they wouldn't be affected by this. This would mostly be for customers that are your average customers that that use the average amount of electricity and that haven't shopped around for their own retail product of electricity on their own. And the last point I want to make is that this program is really designed to put solar on public buildings, and that'll have real monetary benefit over time, that those buildings no longer have to pull electricity from the grid. Instead, they're using energy that's on site. And so there's savings and tax dollars spent from actually paying for those electricity bills as well. So over the next few months, if we have an opportunity to put this to voters, more than happy to spend time with the citizens of Athens to educate them about this really wonderful opportunity to have a citizen-sponsored and citizen-funded community solar program, which might be one of the first in the state. And so we're really excited to work on it and hear more people's thoughts.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You couldn't have timed that better. You've got 9 seconds left in your 3 minutes. You're serving as a model for the rest of us this evening. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak to this?
Flip a coin.
Okay, and if you could provide your name for the audience.
Hi, I'm Sean White. I'm an Athens citizen, Athens City citizen, and I'm one of the owners of Little Fish Brewing Company. And Matt and and Eddie Smith reached out to me to, come up here and just sort of put in my support for to get this on the ballot. I think it's a really valuable program. I think we've been seeing a lot of recent activities in Athens that are really drawing the eye of people from outside of Athens, from statewide or nationwide. And even as much as Athens has been a really rich community for a very long time, I see things that are happening now that are even more so, making it a special place. So when we look at the benefit of having solar on our city buildings, it's not just about the energy that it will provide. It's also about the statement that it creates. And people, when they see solar panels, I believe that they get an immediate visual message that they kind of understand a little bit about what we're about. So I think I would hope that with the right message, getting out the right message to the voters, that this would stand a good chance of passing if it gets on the ballot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, do you have a question?
I had just one question. I actually had raised my hand when Matt was talking, and I just wanted to make it clear for the potential voters early on. You have the right to opt out of this program to start with. So if the vote goes against you and you feel that you should not be paying for this, you still have the right to opt out of the program. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for a moment. My name is Sarah Conley-Ballou. I'm the Executive Director of Upgrade Ohio. And echoing much of what Matt said, I fully support the opportunity for voters to show their support for solar development in our community. Over the past several years, Upgrade Ohio, alongside the Southeast Ohio Public Energy Council, have been really looking at innovative ways to build solar development in our community. And we've looked at national models, we've looked at what would work here, and of all of the models that we've scoured, I would say that this has the most potential to be impactful, affordable, equitable, and for the rest of our community, a safe investment in solar development for the long run. So I really advocate for voters to vote yes on this issue should it come to the ballot. And I'll also mention that over the past 6 months with the Soul Smart program, which I think last time I got to come and speak with you all, I was sharing information about the city's bid to become a designated Soul Smart community. We did in fact become a bronze Soul Smart community, and that initiative really prompted us to look closely at how we can support solar development for residential, but also in a municipal fashion. And I think with the community solar program providing funding for city-based solar development, it's far easier for the city to put rooftop behind the meter solar systems in with funds that we can garner through our community development. So I really am excited for this. I think this is exactly what our city needs to further our solar development goals, and I am excited to be part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. And we have, yes, Lorraine, would you like to come up? Just give your name and if you're representing an organization.
Lorraine McCosker. I'm representing myself as a citizen. I'm a resident of Athens for 14 years. I'm an instructor in environmental studies at Ohio University and also a member of Sierra Club and various other environmental groups. I would like to comment that I'm in support of this, and pretty much from a position of displacing carbon fuel energy production. You know, anything that we can do right now. We're really in a state of climate emergency. And I'd like to just quote a few statistics from a National Geographic article. Climate change has cost the U.S. $240 billion over the past 10 years. The past wildfires and hurricanes that happened this year will be estimated at $300 billion. And the next 10 years, the next year, we're looking at $360 billion. So this is an investment not just for the city of Athens, but for the entire nation as well as internationally. So I hope that you will consider that. Everything that we're doing right now has this tremendous impact on our climate. I would like to comment that I brought this in. I was part of a group in 2005 and 2006, and we put together, this is from Sierra Club, we put together an energy audit team, and we did very critical work. We, in fact, did training with COAD. We paid for 3 code enforcement officers to get this training. And in 2006, the city of Athens, under Rick Abel as mayor, passed the Cool Cities Agreement. And I just want to read a little bit of what that is. So this is 2006. It's also signed by Paul Weil, who was then a council member. The city of Athens will reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 10% to below 1990 levels by 2017. So here we are. The city believes energy efficiency can achieve these goals and will save substantial money. The city at that time was working with the ICLEA, the local governments for sustainability. We actually joined ICLEA and was working with them. And then there are other ideas about how we can go about reducing our energy use. So I'd like to just say this is 2006. So we're 12 years into this. Some of these young, wonderful people who are sitting here, you know, were in their teens at that time, or even younger. So I think it's really important to recognize how little progress we've made. We've made tremendous progress in this community. I'm so proud of it. I'm proud of our business owners. I mean, it is just a wonderful place, and there's so much work going on at the local, very low level. You know, we're facing this administration which rejects much of what we had hoped for happening. And I liken it, right now there's 2 popular movies out about the Battle of Dunkirk. And in that, there's these troops are held back by the Germans. And in an effort, it's impossible. The U.S. cannot help. The French and the English cannot help. And what they do is they use local people to go and save these soldiers using their boats. There were something like 8,000 boats. And that's what I think we're facing right now. This is about the local people doing the work. And I hope that you'll pass this.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorraine. Okay.
I just wanted to make one statement. I wanted to clarify that the ordinance is actually a retail solar community program, opt-out retail solar community program.
Right. Thank you. All right, so we've read that one. We're going now to move on to a one-reading resolution. Yes, and Mayor
President
Patterson,
Knightley,
before we move on.
I have received fact-finding questions from citizens about this particular program, and that is, you know, will this fund projects in the city, or would this fund projects outside the city? SOPEC is larger than the city of Athens. And the answer to that is no, this will fund projects inside the city proper. This isn't money that would be collected and then spent elsewhere on solar projects. So it is within the city. I just want to make sure that anyone viewing tonight understands that. And my understanding is that this would be the first program of its type under electric aggregation in the state of Ohio.
Okay, great. That's helpful to have that clarification. Thank you. All right. If no other comments, then we'll move on to Resolution 118. And this is a resolution to appropriate property for a perpetual easement to construct and maintain a sewer in, upon, and over property owned by Sean Jones and property owned by Woodland Stewards, Ltd., formerly owned by Sean Jones, on Columbus Road in Athens, Ohio, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 719.04 and 719.05. And this is introduced by all council members. And I'll offer a brief explanation before we have the vote on this. This is a resolution to appropriate property for a storm sewer easement as described, and the city does have a survey of the property, and that will be attached to the resolution. And then the city will obtain an appraisal so that the value of the right-of-way can be determined. And this is the first step for the city to take in passing this resolution to eventually petitioning to file an appropriation case for the easement. So this is being a one-reading resolution. We could entertain a motion to approve and a second.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and second for the approval of this one-reading resolution. Any other comments or questions at this point? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. The resolution has been approved. We now have some announcements and other business, and various council members here tonight have confirmation of the mayor's recommendations for appointments to several of our boards and commissions. So, Councilmember Butler, could we start with you on the
Yes, thank you, President Nisley. I would like to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Scott Winland to the Municipal Arts Commission. He has currently served and is requesting a two-year extension. He's active in attendance at meetings at the Municipal Arts Commission and is a valuable member, contributing ideas and thoughts. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion for his approval, and do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sounds unanimous. Thank you very much. And then Councilmember Katsas, I think we're moving down this way.
Yes, thank you. And so I have three for the Shade Tree Commission, which is good because I am the council representative that serves on this commission. We have three people that would like to are signing up for another two-year tour. Reappointment of David Ingram, Lee Gregg, and David Sinkoff. And I want to thank them for the time that they've already invested, and also that they're willing to sign on for an additional two-year term that would expire on 12/31/2019.
Okay, so we have a motion for approval of their reappointment to the Shade Tree Commission. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Grace. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous again. Councilmember McGee.
Yes, I have two gentlemen who I would like to see reappointed to the Disabilities Commission. They both currently serve on the commission. They have unexpired terms. They were 2017 appointments and have unexpired terms. And if their new terms would be 3 years, it would be the terms would expire in January of 2021. So their names are Douglas Brooks and Brian Butcher. I'm currently on the Disabilities Commission and would believe that they would continue to do a great job for the commission.
Great, thank you. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. This is for the reappointment of members to the Disabilities Commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And Councilmember Grace.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of Dr. Tanya Basta to the Athens City County Health Department. And this is for a 5-year term.
Okay. So we have a motion for the approval of the appointment of Dr. Bastia to the City County Health Department. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next week, we'll be having a committee meeting and wanted to check in with people, knowing that we have a Wednesday deadline for agenda items for these committees. And Councilmember Butler, will Service Safety be meeting? Do you know?
I am not positive.
Oh, what the heck?
I can check with.
Okay, so we'll know, just so we know before Wednesday, or by Wednesday. And
Finance personnel.
Okay. I'm not sure, Councilmember Fall's not here for Planning and Development, whether we have that. Transportation, will we have any items that the committee needs to meet?
I believe we probably will. I can't.
Okay.
Yes, I would think so.
Sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sign us up.
Okay. And Councilmember McGee?
Sinkholes.
We would have the vendor ordinance. I've submitted it to Ms. Walker, and hopefully that it would be submitted to the entire council for consideration.
Okay. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. And do we have any other announcements from the mayor? Okay.
Yeah.
Then right now we have an opportunity for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services that were not covered on the agenda this evening. Is there anyone wishing to speak on any other topic? Okay. If not, then what we'll be doing next is making a motion to enter into executive session. And we usually allow a few minutes for public members, or I know we have some members from the media here tonight who may want to ask questions about our council meeting. So it's 7:55, so what we'll probably do as soon as we make this motion, we'll give until probably 8:02, 8:03, so you've got enough time to answer the questions. And so I would need a motion. Yes, Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, President Isaac. I'd like to make a motion that we enroll into executive session after the recess for conversation with public for threatened litigation. So present would be the mayor, auditor, and law director, as well as all council and President Isley.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we'll do a voice vote. Councilmember Butler?
Aye.
Oh, we have to have a second. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Second.
Thanks. I got ahead of myself. Okay, now Councilmember Butler.
Aye.
Councilmember Reisner.
Aye.
Councilmember Crowell.
Aye.
Councilmember Katsas.
Aye.
Councilmember McGee.
Aye.
And Councilmember Grace.
Aye.
Okay, so we are recessed until 8:02. And we'll have until that time then for folks to come back in. After we're finished the executive session, we also then do open the doors again to make a motion to adjourn. Thank you.